Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Only we're still not talking on a Monday. We're talking on a Tuesday once again. That's because the fella to my, I'm not sure if he's on my left or right on this screen, but he was down talking to Willie Mullins yesterday. So listen, Willie comes ahead of Eno. What can I say? The Exile Dub is with me. Tommy, what did Bill Withers sing?
God, come on.
Just the two of us. Right. So here we are, just the two of us talking about the Tote Gold Cup, which continued at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. I think it's safe to say it's stepped up a gear again on Saturday night. All four heat winners leading from the front, all of them breaking 16 seconds for the 525-yard trip. That's pretty sensational. But then when you look at the likes of a 1579 and a 1584, it really is a test of speed at the moment in the Tote Gold Cup. Let's get straight into it. Tommy, very impressive.
Impressive, but it's something you've talked about before that like there probably aren't enough 5-5 competitions, especially around Shelbourne Park. So it should be a test of speed. It should be a proper test that you get away with nothing in, and that's what it's looking it's looking like. I won't harp on now, but I'm sure I will over the course of the year. But um, we're going to be smashing through 28 seconds on a regular basis. So I mean, and we're damn close to it now. Two runs under 28:10, and you know what the funny thing was, particularly with Carrick Alden, we get onto him in a minute. Again, he left a nice bit behind in the traps.
Yeah, and yet went so fast. He was the pace setter doing a 28:05 run. I think he left coming home. His strides seemed to shorten again. I know it's Jetstream Breeze in behind him. He's very strong. I still think he's just getting up to peak fitness. And it could well happen next week, the breaking 28 seconds. I know you've said it a few times since you've said it. I think two dogs have probably done it. All these thousands of dogs are going to be breaking it.
Oh no,
It's
no,
still a
not more than
barrier.
two if you want to
It's
go back
still a
through them.
barrier. It's still a barrier. Let's get into the opening heat. It went to Boyle Sports Coco, but there was so much to talk about apart from Boyle Sports Coco. Firstly, Hello Mom took an absolute flyer for Liam O'Connor and Pat Norris. She's such a regular starter. She's such a you could set your watch by her 198, but she simply just didn't have the speed to contain the likes of Boyle Sports Coco, who must be said edged off a true line from trap two. She's out to trap three. Ballymacfin found himself a bit crowded for space. It didn't happen for Optic Chico. She got loose at the head of affairs, was so impressive in 1594, 28:30. I'm sure Dolores would be more than happy with that run.
This is an absolute monster run, even though it's 28, what was it, 30. This is a monster run. And you say she edged off, I would say she purely did that to get around Hello Mom. It was slightly exaggerated, all right, but she was straight as a gun barrel until she had to go by Hello Mom. And she sidestepped, seemed to maybe either overdo it or maybe just slightly stumble out a bit to her right. But like to do those sectionals, having effectively missed the kick. And like when we watched her last year, she was flying out of traps and she was doing everything right. Um, like that's like she's the one. She's one that you would say she didn't fall out of traps, but she's still a length behind Helen Mammers, maybe slightly more. But she's one you'd say is definitely only taking the steps towards being where she will be. In terms of fitness and in terms of her overall ability. Um, bodes well for probably bodes well for the Gold Cup, but it certainly bodes well for when she takes on the bitches later on, and not that much later in the season. But she is on that run. She's every bit. She's going to live up to expectation every bit as much as we expected. What she would be towards the end of last season. This even though it was 28:30, I think this is a monster run because Ballymacfin. It didn't happen for Ballymacfin effectively, and yes, boys, Coco kind of came across and took his ground a little bit, but like he's not always the flashiest of starters, is he? That's not him. I mean, he's obviously he hasn't had a huge amount of racing, and he's not always an absolute flashy starter, particularly over 525. Thought he ran very well, and when he came back up to challenge or to almost challenge, maybe going behind Boys versus Coker, maybe around the last bend, kind of hit into the back of her, maybe ever so slightly. But I still think I love the way Boys versus Coco kept going to the line. This was huge, even though it wasn't a flashy time on the night. This was a huge performance.
Yeah, like you could set your watch by her. Like she was doing 28:30 for fun last year, 28:33 on a couple of occasions. Funnily enough, that was her fastest ever sectional the other night, 2:02. But I agree with you. I think she can still come away that bit better. I think she's accelerating quicker than she was back last year. And I think she's strengthened up. And it'll be no surprise to me if she went three lengths faster. a 28-10 run. You do that
easily.
in the final of a Gold Cup, you're not being picked up. That's the way I see it. Boyle Sports Coco, she is in trap two again the next night. We'll get to the draw a little bit later on, but no, a terrific display. I love the way she did it into the opening corner. And you're right, she did ease off. She had to because Hello Mom was there on her inside.
Yeah,
And it was racing. That's all it was. It was racing.
that's
There's
all
no
it was.
guarantee she'll move off next week from trap two. I'm sure Ballymacfin would love that if it happened because he's on the other side of her next week, which could be a big, big difference. And Ballymacfin, as you said, he has the 2 seconds in his bag, but he's not what you'd call you couldn't set your watch by him at boxes. Like he'll go 2 seconds, 2:10, 2:08, he'll be all right. Where's the bitch? You'd be sort of pretty sort of set in where she'll be most of the time. I thought he showed loads of pace again, Ballymacfin. I think we're seeing a real sort of peak type performance from Ballymacfin, even in defeat, after being so impressive last week. Again, it'd be no surprise to me if he was rattling 28 seconds next week. He's going to need a start. He's going to need to get on the bunny, but that's more than capable of happening. Neon Knight ran well in third. He was prominent into the opening bend. That little bit of a schmozzle in the inside helped, and he slipped around third. Optic Chico found himself in traffic. I thought he might still qualify off the second bend, Optic Chico, but just too much ground to make up for him. I'll be forgiving him while he did perform so well over the 525. His last two starts, I think it is further he wants. I think we're both agreed on that. You said last week he will be caught out in the night with that length missing to the opening corner. And that's what we saw the other evening. But no, Boyle Sports Coco, a tremendous performance. She's September 21. She's had, just a nice number of races. This was race number 27, win number 11. I could see her being an absolutely one of the very, very best in the Oaks upcoming, and she's certainly a big player in this Gold Cup going forward. Same could be said for Ballymacfin. 15.94 again from Boyle Sports Coco, coming around the dog into the opening corner.
Yeah, look, I'm in the same boat. I think she's look. The good thing about greyhound racing in the last couple of years, in particular, is the quality that's coming through, constantly coming through. So who knows what's going to be new on the scene? There'll be dogs in the Derby who we probably won't have heard of by now, or we might have only seen once or twice and whatever else. And there'll be bitches coming through as well. But Boyle Sports Coco, to me, on that run, on that evidence alone, I'm thinking she's a serious player in the Oaks. Did just the comments on the card, and I zoomed in on the video and everything you see. Did Opti Chico actually stumble at traps?
I didn't see it now. I must
I
say I
can't
didn't
see
see
it.
it.
I can't see it. Anyway, look, it's again, it's what we talked about last week. It's just unforgiving, and it should be unforgiving because that's the level we're at. This is a classic quarter final, effectively. It should be unforgiving. He just that length or two, he just hasn't got it for the 525. Yeah, he can break, and he can break better than that. But he's not going to be. You wouldn't expect him to be leading, say, as a competition like this gets deeper. You wouldn't be expecting him to lead it around. He ran well, and actually Neon Knight. What I was impressed with Neon Knight was if you watch actually from the finishing line to the bend after the race is over. Actually, Neon Knight was staying on strongly too. Bodes well for stepping up a trip again and winning a few races. But just this
He
competition.
actually did display fine pace into the corner. If you told me
Yeah.
sort of without watching it, how far was Boyle Sports Coco in front, I'd have said she was easily a couple of lengths in front on the corner. She's a half length in front of Neon Knight. Now she's after working her way through a crowded room to get there,
Yeah.
but she then runs a tremendous corner, stretches on a bit. But no, but Neon Knight was bang there on the corner. It's certainly worth pointing out. As you say, maybe it mightn't happen in this competition. He's 25 to 1 there, but as soon as this is over, there'll be an ease and glade somewhere along the line, and he'll pop up. And he'll pop up at he won't be a 4-7 chance. Like he could be a 2-1 chance, 9-4 chance in what they call a
And
mini open 525 or something like that.
it hasn't had that much racing recently, and also last year had good sprint form. Um, above in Dundalk, finished second to Ratdown Molly one night actually in a sprint. And Ratdown Molly, of course, was runner up in this competition last year. So
Yeah, no, nice performance. Moving on to the second heat, I fancied Road Exile. I thought he showed a lot more in defeat last week than the 10 length sort of would suggest, finishing third behind Ballymacfin. I thought he raced into the opening corner and for a dog like him, he needs to be on the bunny. We were so impressed by Deadly Style last week and the speed he showed, but on this occasion, Road Exile had the better of the draw. He's drawn on the inside of his rival, and with Mikey's Millie certainly not going to take a right turn, you knew Road Exile was going to get that run into the opening corner. As it was, Hookham took a flyer But Mikey's Millie took that step. I think they bumped
Yeah.
briefly, and all of a sudden, road exile. Just the acceleration. It was sprinter's pace into the corner, Tommy. He's done sub 21 seconds around Dundalk for fun. You could see that sort of speed. He does a 2:10. It does 15:97. The bitch did 2:02, does a 15:94. I think that shows the speed he was actually showing to the third bend. He's going to need to trap a bit better in the next two rounds, or certainly next week anyway, to get to the final. If he does, he can still be a big player.
The way I'd read it, I would think he'd have to step forward again because he did 28:31, slowest of the four. He's only by a spot behind Boys versus Coco, but I think it was a bit more. I think it was a clearer run for him than it was for Boys versus Coco. I think he had it his way a little bit. Um, but the funny thing is, like his 2:10 sectional, it's kind of funny to say his 2:10 sectional is kind of slow. It does relative to what we're what stage we're at in a Gold Cup now. But we know he can do a lot better than that. He's not always an absolute flyer out of boxes, but he has kind of fast sections without being light in the sections in every track he's been to. He's done good
Yeah,
ones without he
the
doesn't
two the
always
two
do
the two
absolutely.
ninety six in Tralee is good. Anything under
It's
3 seconds
it's
Tralee is
really
very good, and
yeah,
it is
but
worth pointing out that that's after 2 or 3 runs from those traps in a row.
yeah,
He could improve again next week, and if he did 2 seconds and did 15:80 to the third bend, neither of us would be shocked.
no, like he's doing a 129 round limit, which is good without being absolutely electric. Cork 335, 339, they're pretty ordinary, but he just didn't seem to run his races at the time he was there. Like they're all good without being, he did a 693 one night in Dundalk, but his other ones were like 717, 701, 704, 714. Like they're a little bit hit and miss in terms of you're not 100% certain what you're going to get with him. But I tell you, he started like I think there's I think I get the impression that he's always been liked by Pat Buckley, that he has that great ability. I mean, he's won 17 races. He's not like he owes anybody anything at this stage of his career,
Yeah.
even, and there's plenty more to come from him. Like that run, like you said, was a nice step forward from his previous run last week, and I'd expect it again. I just wonder, can he get around next weekend? Can he get around up front?
Yeah, started his career off in Youghal. We have to mention that in case Barry gets upset with you. A
He didn't, yeah.
couple of good runs around Limerick earlier in his career. That was a bit in the Kirby. He did 28:44, 28:40 in the Kirby. Looked like he was really developing. That didn't happen from then in the Oh, sorry, that was prior to Kirby. A couple of big runs, then got to the second round of Kirby, but it was there after. Like he sort of, a few defeats, and then they sprinted him. Like he does a 20:84 round Dundalk off a 6:93. Like that's light and fast. Do you know what I mean? And produced 4 or 5 massive runs around Dundalk again. Just the one I missed the kick and found a bit of traffic, went out of the Irish Sprint Cup, and then back over 525 yards, wins at 28:57 at Shelbourne, back to sprinting 18:49, back to 525 for the Laurels. Limerick then 28:28. And then back to sprinting, and again has some big runs in 18:40 in Limerick, and a couple of 18:60 sort of runs in Shelbourne Park. But now he's back over the 525, wins the Kingdom Derby, having missed the kick somewhat in the opening round, got some crowding, 28:46 in the semis, 28:02 in the final, beats off a stellar field. And now we're seeing him again back in 2024 after a short layoff, and he's flying. He is a dog with May 21, like he's a lovely age, not 3 years of age yet, should be matured, lovely, peaking, probably strengthening up a little bit. If he can find those trapping boots, there's nothing to say that he's not on the sort of same sort of path as Boyle Sports Coco. Probably that length or two better than last year. He could certainly be a Laurels type greyhound, no question about it. We're seeing it here in the Gold Cup that if he improves that 2 or 3 lengths again, he's a player.
It's just that consistency of traps. He can fly. He really can. He can fly out. You can't do what he did in Dundalk without being able to fly out. But isn't he a fabulous dog in the sense that he can run at the top level, and he clearly takes his racing very, very well. I mean, he
Yeah.
gets over like that and can go again and keep going again. Like you've called out all the competitions he's been to in the last while, and he's producing every time. He's producing good performances every time. He's a smashing dog.
Yeah. And like, do you know what I love as well? Youghal, Limerick, Waterford, Cork,
Yeah,
Dundalk, Shelbourne. You know,
yeah.
Tralee, of course, he won the Kingdom Derby at Tralee. Like at Lifford, he won a sprint in Lifford as well. Like he's just one of those dogs. Stick him in the van, we know he'll run well. You know what I mean? Brilliant.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah.
complain. In second
No.
spot, in second spot, we had Deadly Style. I thought he lost nothing in defeat. He didn't get to the front like he did in the opening round. We saw from his opening round performance that off the front is where he'll want to be. Druby Zadell is making up good ground on him up the run in. He is a dog with loads of ability, loads of speed. Whether this competition is a little too soon for him, he still only had the 15 starts, but he's clearly a greyhound with loads of ability. Octane Cora ran well in third. Hookham stormed home again after that early bit of traffic. 525 yards. It's not his bag. It's not his bag. We saw him winning a six bend race here a couple of weeks ago at Shelbourne Park, and I'm sure that will be where he'll be targeted throughout the year. But no, good winner, Road Exile. Moving on to Heat 3, and this is our pal Carrick Aldo, 15.79 to the third bend, Tommy. And again, he's not taking an absolute flyer from traps or anything like it, but by his standard, and he does a 203. It ain't bad. I'd love to see him
Okay.
doing the 198 because I think if he does the 198, I don't think there's a dog in Ireland or England that can lead him.
Like, he actually comes away fine, out of traps, but it's that acceleration is what he has. He doesn't. He's just, what's at the moment is preventing him from smashing under 28 seconds. It's just that stride to get going. His pace into the bend is phenomenal. Well, he's finding stride quickly, but and this is nitpicking because of the dog he is. He can just break that little bit better. I'm like you. I'd love to see a 195 in his card some night and just see what he might do. I agree with
Like
you though. You said earlier on,
the night of the Irish Sprint Cup was the night he came through the bars.
yeah,
And we saw one of the most decisive victories in a major final. That night. Um,
yeah.
I think we're just baying for one of those starts, just some night to see what exactly he can do.
I was hoping we'd get it some night in Curraheen Park and we'd see what he might do, and I'm hoping he'd do
Just
it in,
never
like,
really broke at all in Curraheen in any of the
no,
nights. He never
no,
really got a flyer. Yeah, it's funny.
no, we didn't, and ran phenomenal races. He's there's yeah, I don't think he's a dog that's going to do 27.80 on a regular basis. He's going to do it some night though. I'm convinced he'll do it some night when just conditions are right and when he just happens to break. Um,
David Murray's hoping it'll be in a fortnight.
yeah, 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 and wouldn't it be great? I
Yeah.
mean, Jesse and Breeze ran a cracking race in defeat.
Absolute dinger, yeah. And like this is we're talking about versatility. Like here's a big strapping 80 pounder, okay, 79 pounds the other night. Like he's Druby City, but I am's a breeze. Like he's bred for stamina and power. We've seen him running so well over the 575 yard trip at Shelbourne Park, but he has the speed to run a real good 550. But I thought he struggled to the corner the other night, I must say. But he really did hold his pitch, and he like his size then got him around the corner in second spot, and thereafter was a case of well, nothing was going to come from behind him. So it was just a case of watching the front two and whether he could close in Carrick Aldo, and he did close. Like he brings it down to 2 lengths. Like this is a dog who can stay 575, 600 yards, and in defeat he's doing 28.19 over 525 yards. That's unbelievable. Mary Gilbert's dogs have been flying for about a month and a half now. Anyway.
Yeah, they have, but I thought he ran a super race. He tracked nicely off the last bend, impressed us same as you at the start at the first bend where it was definitely in a position where he could easily get into an awful lot of trouble and been forced to check and lost all hope and been out of the competition and all that. Actually loved a lot about his um I thought I'm trying to I don't think you said earlier on that you think that maybe the winner is short in the stride from the Lion home. Maybe it was
Do,
easier to
do
sit
you
for
know
the
what I
night.
think it is with him? I think it's his colouring more so than anything else. I don't know what it is. Like if he was black dog, I probably mightn't even think it. But just for some reason, or maybe his racing style, I did think his stride shortened a bit coming home. I must say, yeah, that was my first instinct. I always go with my first instincts. Especially when Shelbourne Park, like especially we're looking at the videos on GRI and like I could think differently when I see it. Let's say in the Irish Focus because you've seen it in HD, whereas it's sort of blurry if anything, on the small videos that we're watching on the site. And yeah, that was my first instinct. Now, when I look back at it now, it doesn't look like it was striding. It was shortening dramatically or anything like it. But I do think he can find a length or two up the home straight.
Well, like I'm convinced that like as we go later in the season, he'll get home over 550 if he wants to, and he'll win races over 550. He mightn't do 29.20 or anything like that, but he's I think he's capable of getting around and probably doing 29.60 run. Um,
At this point in his
He's
career,
put,
he's probably staying it as well, if not better, than you and Taylor did.
yeah, he's putting a huge amount into that to get around in front of generally kind of not absolutely flying breaks. He's putting a huge amount into that section of the race, and it's obviously going to take his toll at some stage. Um, he's he's definitely up there near the top of my list. Anyway, my favorite greyhounds in training at the moment. I just like him. I just think I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for the day he does something really special in terms of the clock. So, um, if he won the Gold Cup in 30 seconds, I don't think David Murray gave a damn what time about the clock.
Yeah.
But
No, I hear you. Thomas Glenn, his owner, is obviously building up quite a team. He has Carrick Fergie,
yeah,
he has Carrickino, who uh, I potentially think he's one of the most exciting young greyhounds in training. I think he could be anything going forward. He's obviously put good money into the sport, and he deserves every bit of luck and success he gets. 15.79 to the third bend. That's the exciting part of the whole thing. Like 15.79, Tommy. Count on one hand the amount of dogs that have gone faster around Shelbourne Park. Like that's pretty special.
that's yeah, that yeah. Look at technically, I suppose if you're looking at it that way and you're taking the clock back from there, you might say he's losing a bit of ground, but he's done so much early. That is phenomenal stuff. Won't be too mind leading him. Then funny things happen. We know that the tracks can speed up, and I mean, if it's going to be what I say, and it's going to be going to be breaking 28 seconds regularly, the track will be like we'll see dogs start to do that. You said all four sectionals to that point were very impressive the other
All
night.
sub
So
16 seconds, yeah, all sub 16
yeah,
seconds.
yeah,
Yeah, 203, 17, 15.79, deadly style in second spot. And again, Octane Cora, we haven't mentioned her, but she ran well in third. She's obviously from a very fast family. She's out of bobsleigh jet. She's an October 20, so she has a bit of age in her side. We haven't seen an awful lot of her, certainly in Dublin, but ran okay in defeat. Um, I'm not the wrong heat, am I? I'm on the wrong heat.
oh
Previously,
yeah.
we didn't talk about Octane Cora. A lot of other news. A
A
lot
lot
of
of
other
other
news
news
was
in third.
third. Sorry, beg your pardon. A lot of other news is a dog who was 28-25 around Shelbourne Park. He's got a couple of big runs over 550 yards. Um, he popped out. Carrick Aldo just outpaced him into the corner, but I think he's a good yardstick to sort of to judge the likes of Carrick Aldo upon. Like a lot of other news gets on the bunny. There aren't too many pick him up. Running so well for Sean Conway, who has to be said has a really nice team of dogs. He's there in the third spot. A lot of other news. He'll need to be taking, flyers from traps now if he's going to continue in this competition. But certainly one that will win plenty more races before the end of the year. Druby Zattel, Scotty Scheffler, and Tommy Shewitt crashing out. And so it's to the final heat. And yeah, Glengar Martha, we spoke about her last week and winning at 28-1 in the opening round of the Derby last year. She's won now 12 from 35. This is a bitch who's yeah, she's what? She's approaching 2.5 now. She's 2 and 4 months. I She didn't have much of a winter break, Tommy, but whatever happened in it, she has come out the other side a bitch in unbelievable form. Like, don't get me wrong, she's 28-13 around Cork. She's 28-50 around Galway, 28-46 around Limerick. She had 28-31 already in Shelbourne Park, 28-42 last week. But this was different level the other night, like 28-07. I know the holiday just didn't quite perform. He moves off the inside line. I've always said
Yeah.
I preferred him in 3 or 4. Always said that. If he was mine, he'd be a middle seed. But it didn't matter. She ragged
Was
them.
it? No.
She ran an unbelievable first 2 bends. She does 15.84 to the third bend of 2 seconds. This was stunning. This was stunning. If she continues in this form, Tommy, we're going to be talking an awful lot about Glengar Martha in the next 10 months or so.
Yeah, well, as you said, she clearly enjoyed Christmas because she's back. She'd have to win it 3 times. She'd have to win it by an aggregate of 24 lengths in 3 races. It would be quite it would be quite us if she was to go on and win her semi-final by 6 or 7 lengths, and we disregard her in the final and she win that by 7 lengths
Yeah.
because she just like last week we kind of made excuses for those behind and this, and now we're looking at going, yeah, maybe another holiday didn't really perform, but like this was, and I couldn't believe it when I was watching it. She was in so much control by the first bend. By the second bend, the race was
Over.
it was inconceivable that there was any other winner.
She went
In,
from being like a length and a half in front to being 6 lengths clear between the crown of the first and entering the back. She improved her lead by about 4 lengths.
Another holiday didn't run his race, and he did move off a little bit at the bend, and it looked more than just like where he was in traps. He looked a little bit more than that, and he lost ground. The next thing he was almost the dogs in behind were within half a length of him coming off the second bend, and then he kind of went on again into second place. He's got great talent, but that wasn't his run. But it doesn't matter what his run was, because I tell you what, we'll want a bit of career best to beat Glengar Martha the other night.
Yeah.
And when bitches begin to strengthen up like this, there's no saying where they can go, what the ceiling is for Glengar Martha. She, she started off in a 550 in Limerick, did 30-13. She came here and did 28-42 in the first round, 28-07 the other night. I mean, her card is beginning to look good. 12 wins. Lucky 13 might be sub 28 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. She's from a wonderful pedigree, obviously. Glengar badminton girl who then goes back to Taz and back to a very strong dam line from Australia. Like there's Brett Lee in there, top honcho, Tullamore Act. Tullamore Act has become a sire of brood bitches. A lot of them have turned into pretty useful ones. Glengar badminton happens to be a sister of Burgess Buck, so like there's pedigree there. I think she always had plenty of pace, but it's the early speed she's showing now that's gonna make the difference for her going forward. And again, if the Oaks were starting tomorrow, Tommy, she'd be on a short list.
She'd have to be.
She's on a short list for the Gold Cup as we speak.
Actually, I think she's shortened up into third favorite at around about. I had it open there a minute ago. I think she's around about
6 to 1 markish.
Yeah, about 11-2 and 6-1.
Yeah, that seems fair, to be honest. It doesn't seem like an overreaction, to be honest. If they cut her even shorter, I wouldn't be
Well,
surprised to me.
the funny thing is, when we saw the prices, I called out the prices at the end of this last week, and we're both like, oh, they were bad prices, some of them. And Carrick Aldo is now a bigger price than he was last week.
That doesn't make
Doesn't make
sense.
any sense.
Although there was only one firm offering last week. I think another firm put up nearly double the price of that afterwards during the week.
Mm.
Like I think Carrick Aldo was 9-2 last week at one point. That's my sense.
He's not blue everywhere now. He's pink everywhere. He's actually looking at the all history. Yeah, he was put in 9-2. The firm that had him 5-2 last week have him 11-4 now after doing 28-05.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. That's a perfect segue. Let's finish off here. I was going to say let's perfect segue into the draw. Maybe that's the reason for it. But let's talk about the remainder. Another holiday. This isn't quite the dog we saw at the back end of last year. I was encouraged by his run last week. I wasn't encouraged by Saturday night's run. I was a bit disappointed. Again, I agree with you. This was more than just moving off from the inside draw. I think he's a better dog on the bunny, and I think he'd be better from the middle, where he doesn't have to worry about edging off or whatnot. And he runs a truer line. Off the second bend, he swung very wide the other night. Strangely, like he's beaten. What's he beaten? 8 lengths. Like he's doing 28-63. Like he'd do that with his eyes closed. Do you know what I mean? Like this is a dog that could do 28-20 every night of the week. It's a slight concern. Like if you're not punting him, it doesn't matter. You can sit back and watch him again next week and hope that we see the true another holiday. Back in third, Simon's Cap, very consistent, strong running greyhound. I would say from a kennel point of view, they would have preferred the Foxy Devil to progress, because he is a dog that can make waves over this trip. He has missed a kick in both the starts since he stepped up in company, and that's something that so often happens. It's weird, like the dogs don't know they're in hotter company, but all of a sudden when dogs around them are flying out of traps, it seems to startle them. You know what I mean? So it'll take him a race or two to get used to the really, really top company. I imagine his target is going to be the Kirby. So each one of these runs will stand to him. But Simon's Cap was third. He ain't going to be winning the Gold Cup. He's the rank outsider of the whole 12 remaining, but he's just a really nice, consistent dog. Much like Jetstream Breeze, you can run him over 575 yards, 600 yards later in the year. You pick up plenty of wins.
Yeah, and look, Marion and Des are excellent at campaign their dogs. To be fair, and they'll get whatever you get out of Simon's Cap, they get out of them. It's just you're beating so far in a race where effectively almost everybody just watched one dog right throughout, or one bitch, Glengar Martha. It was a fabulous display.
And understandably so. Right.
Yeah.
I think when we do look at the draw, it's easy to see why Carrick Aldo is 11-4. Let's look at the first heat first, okay? First heat first. Octane Cora, Jetstream Breeze, Another Holiday, Neon Night, Glengar Martha, Deadly Style. 2 weeks ago, Another Holiday would have been 1-2 to win this contest. He mightn't even be favoured now. I'd have to side with Glengar Martha. Now, don't get me wrong, she'll have to do it right because there is real early speed on show here. Another Holiday and Neon Night can both go up fast, as we've seen. Deadly Style go up fast on the outside. But if Glengar Martha does her 2 seconds, I think she'll be okay, Tommy.
I think she'll be okay too. But it doesn't allow for much. You know, it doesn't
There's
in
no
terms of
room. There's
mistakes.
no room. There's no room for
No,
error. Yeah, none.
no, there really isn't. Like I'm like you. The first time you look at that race, you go, "Wow, that's a great draw for Another Holiday," and then you kind of go, "Well, I don't
He
know what
beat
to
Nate Lynx
expect
by her
now."
last week.
Huh?
He
Yeah,
beat Nate Lynx by trap 5 last week.
yeah, but but we know that's not his run. But if you thought he was at his best, you'd say, "God, that's some draw."
Yeah,
And he'll win that. And even if she had, even with Glencar Martin doing 28:07 the other night, if Another Holiday was at his best, you would say, or you thought he was going to be at his best, or if the Kennel said, "Geez, he's in good form," he just had an off night, he's in good form during the week, you'd say, "Gee, that's some draw." He'll take a fair bit of whacky from that draw. But
because he'd be the most likely pace setter, or
yeah,
he'd be there disputing it on the corner. He'd go around in
well,
front from the
I'd
inside
expect
draw,
him.
and then all of a sudden, instead of doing 28:07, she has to do a 27:90 to get around him.
I'd expect him to to lead Octane Cora and Jetstream Breeze into the bend. I'd also expect him to lead Neon Night, even though Neon Night did a 198 the other night. I expect him to lead into the bend, and he's on the right side of Neon Night, even if Neon Night breaks. I would expect him to lead most nights. And actually, it makes it a difficult race to have a bet in because we don't know what Another Holiday is going to do next week in terms of, it's what sort of way. It's hard to say that he'll be back. He'll be back in the type of form that he can do. He can do 28:10 or whatever, which is what you need to do to win this heat, probably.
Yeah,
So I mean, he would, even for the form that Glengar Marta is in, he would make it a no bet race for me now. That I would, because he's still going to have an impact on the race. To likelihood, he's going to have an impact on the race. And as you said, he's in the right trap for him. So even if he's not going to be moving off the bend like he did the other night, which I think was more than just positioning, as I said already. But I actually think he's so what he'll do is he'll improve a little bit on what he did the other night, just because of his positioning, improve a little bit, and that might be enough just to be in the way
yeah.
of maybe Glengar Marta trying to get a run. So I think to me it'd be a no bet. I'm going to have to tip Glengar Marta. I think I'm going to have to tip her because um and it'll be fascinating to see how the on-course bookies price this actually, because
I
they've
was
got to
just
put
getting, I was just
their
getting to that. Like if you were sort of parachuted in, you didn't know their back catalogs, you didn't know what was happening, and you dropped in Shelbourne Park last week, and I gave you that draw and said, "Now price that." Like you're making 5-2 on,
yeah,
but like she'll be odds against on Saturday night because you can
yeah.
absolutely be certain there'll be people taking a chance on Another Holiday from that draw.
I do think to be fair to the bookmakers in Shelbourne Park, I do think that over the years you could always kind of you could rely on them to kind of they know their onions, they know their dogs inside out, and the prices tend to be about right. And you often look back and go, "Oh, why was that like 5-4? I thought that should have been threes on." There's
Yeah,
normally a reason. There's normally a
yeah.
reason. They
You
know
you
that.
know you notice the firms on a big night trap one runner. Oh, that looks a great draw. We'll put him in a 5-4. That'd be grand. On the night he's 4-9. Because the local layers know. They know that you're in trap one, the big night, good early speed. You're home and host, and that's the way they'll judge it up in their merits. They don't look at the prices during the week, and if they do, they're taking their nibbles and whatnot. Yeah, Glengar Martha, Another Holiday, Neon Nights in 4. He'll want to be hitting the lids. If he does, he'll be prominent into the opening corner. But this is a test. Deadly Style on the outside will need to considerably step up in that 214 from last weekend. Jetstream Breeze, he'll be looking to again hold his pitch on the opening corner and get a crack at the early pacers that don't go around in front. And Octane Cora, well, she'll need to be doing everything right. She'll need to produce her career best
Jet,
sort of form from Tralee. Go on.
Jetstream Breeze will qualify if Lee's Octane Cora early.
Yeah, yeah, I tend to agree with that. Yeah, yeah, you'd imagine he'd pick up one or two of the others, and he might even have to. Like if Another Holiday got a flying start, and Glengar Martha went up fast. There's every chance that likes of Neon Night, Dilly Style will be kept wide. If Jetstream Breeze clears Octane Corey, he's staying on the fence. He'll slip around. He'll be third into the back straight, perhaps. Moving on to the second heat, which, like, it's a well-used line, but like this would be fitting of the final itself, Tommy. Ballymacfin in one, Boyle Sports Coco, a lot of other news, Carrick-Aldo, Road Exile, Simon's Cap. Like, it's red hot. Like Simon's Cap is going to be 33 to 1. Like as good as Lotto with the News is, a 28-25 dog around Shelbourne Park, be 16 to 1 there.
Yeah, he could be. Could be. He's got a shock and draw, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Really.
like Ballymacfin, Boyle
He's
Sports Coco on his inside, Carrick-Aldo and Road Exile on his outside. Like it's either you do a 192 or you're in trouble, son.
yeah. Yeah, you God you
And
are.
even the 192, because if they're doing 2 seconds to the winning line, you can be absolutely certain they're going to be a length of faster to the first bend. So, like, I don't know. It's it's a great draw for Ballymacfin, I believe. Although we'll want to be hitting the lids. Boyle Sports Coco will go up fast and true, you'd imagine. Carrick-Aldo will want to be just trapping that 203 again, would do. Road Exile. It is notable that when he had space to the night, he sort of did edge in a little bit to the opening corner, but I think that's more because he had the space. I think he'll go pretty straight from 5. Simon's Cap, you'd expect, will struggle in the opening yards. Yeah, it's a case of, can I have my bet after 5 yards here?
Yeah, big time. Funny enough with Ballymacfin, didn't have it. He's only had 7 runs out of trap one, 2 last year, beating in both of them. 5 the previous year, we won all 5. Um, he's he, yeah. Look, I don't have him down as a. Maybe I'm just not used to seeing him in trap one. I just don't have him down as an inside dog that's going to stay tight to the rails. I don't know what to make of that now, to be honest about it. Do you know? It'd be interesting to see how they price it. I'd nearly take a chance. I'd nearly take a chance on Boy Sports Coco. I just loved that, even though she missed it slightly, and 202 doesn't suggest that. Missed it slightly the other night. I loved the way she had to track around the Greyhound and get into the bend and do a 202 and get around the bend, all the while having to think her way through the first 25, 30 yards of the race. I love that. Now, in theory, she shouldn't. She's a reasonably young bitch. She's not 2.5 yet. Um, she's a reasonably young bitch, and she in theory she probably shouldn't be beating dogs of this experience. I just love the
And
performance the other
ability.
night. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really like the performance. Now look, if Carrick-Aldo flies out, I don't know. He's not going to fly out, is he? He's like
You never
I'm
know.
never going to factor it in. I'm never going to factor it in that he is going to do that, because that's the biggest concern for me always. And it'll be interesting if he didn't, and if Road Exile having to break a little bit. Now, to me, they're very similar dogs in the sense that I don't expect him to absolutely fly. Carrigallo would be like, I think Road Exile is more likely to do something like 195 than Carrigallo is.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't bet on him doing that either. Road Exile. I don't think he's an absolute, like, every night of the week fly out kind of dog. Um, Ballymacfin on the inside, yeah, I, I just got a feeling that Boys for Coco actually might make the best of that draw. I think I have a feeling that she stepped up so much from the previous run, took such a nice step forward. I think she could do it again.
Yeah. Carrick-Aldo
She's
has
gonna be
only.
a prize, isn't she?
She is, yeah. Well, she will and she won't. Like, like she'd be enough of a price to think there's meat in the bone there, but should she be it's hard to judge it. Like, it's one of those races where if they went 4 or 5 to 1, any of the four, you'd go, well, that's too big, because they're capable of taking a flyer and getting around in front. But at the same time, it could be your bet could be gone after a half a stride. Looking at Carrick-Aldo, one thing I've noticed, his record from Trap 4 is very good. He's a 28-20 around Shelbourne or in Cork from Trap 4. He won 3 times in Dundalk from Trap 4. He won the final from Trap 5. I thought he had actually broken from 4 in the final. Very quick away, always led. So his best start, yeah, probably undoubtedly came in that final in Dundalk from Trap 5. But it is worth noting that in his, he said 1, 2, 3, 4. He said 5 trials since Dundalk, since winning Dundalk. He said 5 public trials. Every single one of them has been from what trap?
6.
Trap 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? That could be just a David Murray thing that he just likes to run dogs from the middle of the track or something. But I think it's
I
notable that
suppose. I
all
suppose.
his
Look,
runs in trials
to
were
be.
from trap four, so that's where he is.
I thought you were trying to trick me anyway, because it'd be silly for the middle seat to be trying out trap six all the time. Anyway,
Yeah,
you throw him in the center, and look, he does with wide seats, and depending on what track you're at, you don't get a lot of wide seats. Some tracks, so middle seat, you're going to be running out of six, but like you want them in their trials to get as clear a run and break as well as they possibly can, just to show what they can do and kind of get them to step forward, not have to worry about whether they'll break or not. Um, so you would put him in a trap, probably in a middle trap. All right, he's yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like he beat High Trend one night out of trap four in the Laurels,
he did.
and
Yeah,
High Trend, of course, won the Laurels. Carrick-Aldo. I don't know what to. I like think this is where I like.
his fastest sectional in Cork, actually in the races themselves, came from trap six. He ran from six for the Knights, did 2 3:27s, but in his trial ahead of the Laurels, he does a 3:22 from four.
An empty stadium and the whole lot for the trials.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, he's yeah. I look at. This is the one thing I do like about Shelbourne Park, and of course, there's no advantage to me because I'm not there on the night. But I think they'll price it well. They'll price it very competitively when it comes to the night. I don't know if it'll be as priced as competitively during the week if any of the firms decide to price it up. But I think if you have whatever angle you have on this race, whatever dog you think, I think you I think with the way they price it, you'll be happy, if you know what I mean. I think
I
there'll be
think
an
I think if you take the best prices on all the boards,
yeah.
from any point of the 4 or 5 minutes that they're betting on it, I'd say the over round will be 110 or less, because there will be money for two or three dogs that will open up that bit bigger. Others will drift, and I would say if you take best price all six dogs, you'd get around 110. I'll side with Carrick-Aldo. But again, Tommy, I think it's very much a watching brief. I won't be there actually on Saturday night. It'll be the big Barry commentating. That's a cracker to commentate on. Obviously, when the lid's open, you'd be trying to see which paws hit the ground first, but also you'll be drawn straight to Carrick-Aldo to see what he does, because I think he's the key to the race. I think if he traps on terms, I think he goes around in front.
Yeah, he does. He probably does. Just 1, 2, 3 forward in terms of the way they'll price it, not the way they finish.
The way they price it: one, two, three,
Favorite,
four.
second favorite.
Aldo, Finn, Coco, Exile.
Yeah, I think they could go Finn Aldo now. Finn could be favorite.
I think Aldo will be favourite.
Won't be, but yes.
No, there won't be. And there shouldn't be. We're talking the
No.
Derby runner-up, and a classic winner, an Irish Sprint Cup winner, a dog who was in a Laurels final. Road Exiles won the Kingdom Derby. Boyle Sports Coco she's been there. Did she run up the Puppy Oaks last year, semi-finalist in the Oaks, and very raw at the time.
Mhm.
If I told you she's going to win a classic this year, you certainly wouldn't fall off your seat. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an Oaks. Could potentially be a Laurels. She looks like the type that could win a Laurels to me. Boyle Sports Coco. Um, if she got in the right form ahead of that competition, you never know. But it's a great competition, this Gold Cup. I said it last week. Normally, you have 5 or 6 good names, and they all end up getting towards the end of the stake. I think there was another 5 or 6 on top of them this year compared to others.
Yeah.
Often one or two of the bigger names are left on the sidelines, but in terms of our proper 5 to 5 yard dogs, there weren't too many missing. And yeah, we're down to the final 12. And like, if you pick 6 of the top 10 that are left, it's going to be an unbelievable final. Unbelievable
Yeah.
final.
They're betting the quarterly odds 1, 2, 3 in the long odds books. Right, the 12 runners left. You nearly have to back Glengar and Marty at 6, wouldn't you, each way nearly? Um, I can't see her not qualifying from the other heat. Now, obviously, she's not going to lead. It'll be tricky in the final. She's unlikely to lead if we get your Carrick-Aldos and Boyle Sports Coco, Ballymacfinns in the final.
Yeah.
Road Exile. 3 of those 4. If 3 of those 4 qualify, it's going to be hard to lead. But I mean, you can understand why she's down 5. Well, she's actually 5-1. Sorry, she's 5-1, entitled to be a bit further up the line than some of them, purely because she looks immoral to qualify, didn't she?
Another point has to be made. We've got two heats. They are now separating seedings, which is good. You know, it's certainly now with the lack of seeds, it's good. But it's no wonderful to see two heats, three insides, two middles, and a wide. Oh, sorry, two middles and a wide in the first, and three middles in the second. And none of those inside seeds are dogs where you'll go, oh, you don't want to be drawn inside them. He's going to barrel for the fence. In fact, one or two of them are the opposite. They probably one trap three.
Yeah.
The middle seeds are true middle seeds. The wide seed Deadly Style looks a true wide seed. I'd like to say congratulations to all involved with those dogs because they've made the right decisions and they're here because of that. Their dogs have been running so well, but at the same time they've been in the right position on the track to run well. You got to give your dog the best chance. You can't tactically seeding your greyhound will work out one night. It won't work out every night.
Yeah.
Now that's the Gold Cup.
Fair point.
Tommy,
Much underrated point too.
Huh?
A much underrated point too.
Most of mine are.
Bigger picture.
Most of mine are underrated, Tommy.
Jesus.
What's the winner? It all depends on the draw in the final, doesn't it? Is it a cop out?
It really does. Coco's going to win it. Come on.
Tommy kicking on. That's about the third you have to tip in for the competition. You have to tip in Glengar Martha there a minute ago. It's 6-1 each way.
No, do you know what? To be honest, I'm just saying she'd be an each way at the price you probably think. But you know what? Even if three of the four gets a final in the other heat, it's probably tricky enough in terms of. Now she's in such good form. It just won't be funny if she absolutely flies and dominates a semi-final and final. But yeah, I haven't done a bit now. I actually, what price is Boy Sports Coco?
About 12 to 1. 8, is she? 8 or 10?
About 12 to 1, yeah.
Okay, that's perfectly fair. Obviously, she mightn't have as tough a task in the final as she does on Saturday night, though. That's the issue. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those.
Actually, 16s.
Okay, well, that's perfectly fair.
Quite big.
Yeah, for each way 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's the Tote Gold Cup, folks. I just want to touch on one or two other displays on the night. Ballinkill, the big lad, what's he called? Ballinkill Jim. Or Ballinabowla Jim, excuse me, Ballinabowla Jim took off in the second race over the 575-yard trip. He's a dog who carries a bit. He's 90 pounds.
90 pounds, yeah.
A bit like myself. He's big, but he's fast. He took an absolute flyer the other night. Honestly, he looked like a sprightly 2-year-old. But if I told you he was a 70-pound dog coming away like that, you'd have believed me. Absolutely took off. It was an A1575. He won in 30.97. Just thought it was worth the mention. I just love him. I think he's a big old barrel of a dog, but he's loads of pace. And it's not one of those sort of slow lobbing sort of 90-pounders. He looks like he's moving, you know. And then the final race on the card was won by Boyle Sports Bob, a dog who I thought an awful lot of last year, Tommy. He only had the 9 starts prior to Saturday night. This was his comeback run. I think Paul Hennessy is up to his usual tricks here. Bring them along slowly, let them learn, and then get them ready for the big targets. I would say I haven't spoken to Paul about the English Derby, but I would imagine the Easter Cup is on the agenda. Perhaps the English Derby and the Irish Derby. I'd be surprised if you saw him running in any other competitions outside those three. May have a one-off race here and there. You know,
I'd say 550.
Paul,
Sticking to 550.
I would say that's I wouldn't run him a 525 if he was mine. I think he's a 550-yard greyhound through and through. Very much in the JT Jet sort of mold. I love the way he did it the other night, 29.42. He cut down Scooby the Jet, who looked a nice prospect as well. We asked where Jennifer O'Donnell was going to get her next Derby winner. Well, she's a half brother to our last two, and he's leading a really hot 550-yard contest for a long way. In what it was his fourth start. I know he's a bit of age inside, but I thought it was a fine display by him. But Boyle Sports Bob, so impressive. Left time on the track, Tommy. Have no doubt this dog will challenge for major honours this year. Okay.
And the old Forest prefix, you know.
Yep. Obviously, Forest Paddy was owned by Ned Murphy, who didn't really want to sell. And I think Paul and himself are very friendly. They go back, and he sort of convinced them, well, keep a half share. So Ned and John Boyle have this dog, and I wish them the very best of luck, because I know Paul certainly thinks the world of him. I know Kevin thinks the world of him, and do you know what? I think the world of him too. I think we'll only see him going from strength to strength. I thought it was a very statement-like performance the other night. Tommy, the Time Greyhound Nutrition Cork Cup got underway at Curraheen on Saturday night. There were 7 heats, and we're not going to go through the 7 heats, but you know, it's good to see competitions like this. This would have been the old Guinness Trophy.
Guinness Trophy,
It's
yeah.
been a few different names over the years. Time
Yeah.
Greyhound Nutrition have once again stepped up to the plate, and the Cork Cup is going strong. Good round the other tonight. This fella Graham Holland had a winner. He's not a bad trainer, that fella. Riverside
Okay.
Pingu setting the standard with a 28-37 return. Just want to talk about this litter. There must be about 117 in the litter, because I see them every week in the UK out of Riverside Honey. Riverside Honey has the clock for 10 bends around Romford. She went very close to breaking the 8 bend clock in Shelbourne Park. She was relentless galloper. She does have the track record in Shelbourne, 58-11 for the 1,025-yard trip. She was a relentless galloper, but her progeny so far, they've shown plenty of speed and dash. Maybe New Inn Taylor might have something to do with that.
Yeah, he's not bad when he comes down to Cork. Just great to see. I know it's an A1 competition, but there's five. I think there's 5,000 to the winner. I think the second might be getting 2.5 grand or something. It's really good money, and it's actually fiercely competitive. Fiercely competitive. You're going to be a smart dog to win this.
It always has been. It always has been for the
Yeah.
few years that it's been run. You know, recently it's been very competitive. Graham had a second winner in Fate Point Susie. She was a top tracker in England earlier in her days, and she's now in Ireland with Graham. She hasn't quite hit her stride yet, but that was her first win on Irish soil since her debut in Tralee back in December 2022. So don't be surprised if she stepped up to the 28-66 return. I see Johnny Lennon had a good winner. No surprise around Curraheen Park. Tommy Johnny's a bit of an expert with these dogs. Footfield Peach is a dog that he did bring to Shelbourne Park. He showed a bit of foot in Shelbourne on a couple of occasions, but he's after winning a second on the bounce there in Cork, 28-49.
Again, Paul said to you, but Johnny, he'll travel to the right places for the dog to give it the best opportunity to win. Graham had another winner actually. Romeo Steele was a dog I liked.
Oh yes, correct. Yeah,
He had shown early pace in his 2 runs, beaten in the unraced in Clonmel, tended to come out of traps the other night, went in, got a bit of a bump, showed a lot of the time wasn't brilliant, 28-87 or whatever it was, but just thought it was a real nice potential in that run.
Yeah, he went out of the Clonmel stake in the second round behind Carefree Comet, having run well behind Serene Highway in the opening round. Serene Highway ran at Shelbourne the other night, missed the kick, but did show a bit of promise in the feet. He'll be winning very shortly. Some nice types around, and these are the types of dogs, Tommy, as you say, the ones that will go out in the early rounds of these competitions. They're still only finding their feet. Some are,
Yeah.
some are a bit more backward than others. Romeo Steele, no surprise to you or me if he did a 28-30 next week. You know, that's what we're talking about. You know, if he got an absolute flying start and got about, like he's bred in the purple, Fabulous Amalfi is Magical Bale, Fabulous Artist. Does that make her a sister to Romeo Magical? Repeat mating. She was a single member of the litter. Repeat mating of Romeo Magico and Fabulous Azura. So from a very fast family, that Romeo Steele, again, expect plenty of improvement. Just want to mention, Tommy, I'm not sure you got a chance I didn't say it to you. The Druppies Stud Champion Bitch Stake got underway at Thurles on Saturday night. Some very recognisable names in action, including the likes of Bobsleigh Dream, Undisputed went out, Fashion Model Glengard Jasmine, Mustang Fever, Cash and Miska, Sing Along Dolly, Burgess Orla, but none of them won their heats. The opening heat went to Giddy Up Maggie, a daughter of Skywalker Logan, who's having a few winners. Skywalker Logan, worth the mention. She's after winning 3 in the bounce now. She won 2 in a row at Clonmel. Now she wins her opening round heat in the Druppies Stud Champion Bitch Stake. Well done to Louise Wall with Giddy Up Maggie. Born of Flame was second there, and Burgess Dream, of course, who I could have sworn won this last year. She didn't even run in it last year. She won the Tipperary Cup at Thurles instead. She was the even money favourite alongside Undisputed. Even money joint favourites, Undisputed and Bobsleigh Dream finding traffic on the corner. Bobsleigh Dream was back in third. Great to see both of them back for another campaign. Annie on Faya. This is a nice one. She ran well in She ran very well in a recent competition at Shelbourne Park. I think it was a dual distance. She picked up late over the 5.75. She won the other night in 28.82. I think she's going places. I think she's plenty of improvement in her. I don't think she'll be an Oaks contender or anything like it, but I she certainly want to keep an eye on. She beat the likes of Glengar Jasmine and Fashion Model. You know how fast I think Fashion Model is. I think she's one that'll be a little bit special when she stepped up in trips. She already is a 32.30 around Shelbourne for the 600. And the last heat went to Turkish Delight. Not a fan of Turkish Delight, Tommy, are you?
I am.
Yeah.
Big time. Big time.
No. A whole nut now. That'll do me. Whole nut. Just a
Yeah.
whole nut. None of this Turkish Delight stuff. Tiffin, like give or take. If I was stuck, I'd go for just a plain Milky Bar, Cadbury's bar. Yeah, she won in 28.93. She had an 18.75 trial at Shelbourne in her previous spin. That would suggest she's in good nick. She's lightly raced, loads of early speed if you look at her card in
Yeah.
Limerick. Although they raced her over further, but she led for much of the way over 600 yards, picked up in 3 nights in a row. So clearly just struggled to see out the trip, but no, got to the got to the front late the other evening actually. Wins in 28.93. And look at her breeding. She's Grangeview 10 out of Grangeview Luna, or Mystical Luna, which makes her a sister too.
On. Tune out to you. Come on, you must have it.
Mystical Luna. Am I right? I looked up the wrong one. No, it is Mystical Luna. She's a sister to the Juvenile Derby runner, isn't she?
Short grip.
Short grip and Groucho's Duke.
Yeah.
Short grip and Groucho's Duke. Yeah, the Juvenile Derby runner up Short grip. We wait to see where she returns this year. Tommy, I think that's about it. Anything else to touch upon?
No, busy. It's already beginning to get busy, isn't it? It's amazing how quickly it kicks off. But yeah. I think we have a fair Tote Gold Cup that'll lead us nicely into the Easter Cup. Easter is insanely early this year, actually, as well.
Insanely early. Today is Pancake Tuesday. Did you have any pancakes
Yeah.
this morning?
Not yet, but I will before I go to Thurles. I'll kill myself off altogether.
I made some fluffy American pancakes for the kids, much to my youngest chagrin. She prefers so later on. Meantime, we had to give them all toppings to make pancakes in school as well. So make pancakes by tomorrow. If I offer them pancakes tomorrow, they'll say no. Whether they're going to give up anything of any use for Lent, we'll soon find out. Are you giving up anything for Lent, Tommy?
I hadn't thought about it. I'd have to though. my lifestyle would have to change a little bit, get my health back on track.
Yeah, I'm not going to give up drink or anything like that. You know, I don't see the point. You get it about 6 times a year. I think I'll give up backing losers. That could be a good start. Could be a good start. Giving up backing losers. Yeah, let's see how long that lasts. Probably just about lunchtime. But that's it.
Who's going to win the Gold Cup?
I think I'll go with Carrigaldo. You know, it's not an inspired choice or anything like it, but I'll go with Carrigaldo. I think if he produces what we think he can produce over the next 2 weeks, he'll come out on top, and I think then we'll have a dog to really look forward to for the remainder of 2024. Just interesting to see, like, you know, I know September and October or November, there's only 2 months between them. But honestly, it seems like a world of difference, doesn't it? Like the Derby is, you know, it's so far away still. It's going to be a lot longer
and the Easter Cup
to the Derby.
And Easter being so early as well, it's all
big gap in the middle there. Big gap in the middle.
To set it out quite a lot, yeah.
It also leaves room for stories and for dogs to sort of get their time in the spotlight a bit longer than they would have in the past. Does that make sense? Yeah. When the Ledger was before the Derby, it was a case of the Ledger now straight into the Derby, or the Laurels now straight into the Derby, and everyone was the Derby. Whereas it's a bit further off now. So we'll have more time to appreciate the big race successes. But no, that's it for this Tuesday. I think we're back next Monday, Tommy. Will you be free?
I will, yeah. Do my best, team.
Right, that's it, folks. If you want to keep up to date with all the action from Shelbourne Park in the Gold Cup, of course, the final will be televised on GTV. But of course, the Barking Buzz app is always there if you want to pay your euro to have a little bet and view any one of the races in the Gold Cup. You can do so again on the Barking Buzz app. But that's it from us on this Tuesday evening. It was just myself and Tommy, as Bill Withers said, just the two of us. That's it for us, though, on this evening. We'll see you next time. Good luck, good evening. God bless.